versus Kethis combo.
More like Betarioni, am I right?
I see what you did.
Fellas. We out here.
Betarioni known for playing kind of a wide range of decks. We just saw him in the finals last weekend. He was playing standard, little Fires of Invention in Philadelphia. But this weekend, pretty stock burn deck. On the play.
Is it actual stock, or is it more watery, like soupy, or?
There's some harsh mentors in the sideboard. Would you qualify that card as soupy?
Yeah, actually. No, that one's a little crunchy. That's the fried onion straws on top.
We got some Eidolons, tossing some harsh mentors. You got yourself a stew going.
Yeah.
Fetch Shock, 17 for Betarioni. Here's Goblin Guide. Mullen's 18. Urza's Bobble, or Mishra's Bobble, rather, revealed.
I wonder how many people watching actually got that reference.
It's a nice one.
That's from Community, right?
No.
Oh.
It is Carl Weathers on Arrested Development.
It is Arrested Development.
Carl Weathers playing Carl Weathers.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Collins Mullen here reveals the Mishra's Bobble. Now, he can have a pretty good turn here. I see. I mean, this combo deck has a lot of the same element, like the combo fast elements that the other artifact decks have in the format. You know, he has Mox Amber. He has like the fast mana. But I don't know if it's fast enough to beat Burn, and we're going to see just that.
Yeah, we'll find out. The first land's Inspiring Vantage. If he wants to make colored mana, that's going to cost him some life points. You don't love that in the matchup. Here's the Bobble revealed, plus a second Bobble. That turns on this Mox Opal. And here is a Grinding Station. No life lost on that one. And Mullen's going to activate it. Sacrifice his Bobble.
Yeah, so the Grinding Station triggers when it enters the battlefield as well. It's a really potent engine for the deck to be able to put a lot of cards into the graveyard. So if Mullins has something like Unearth in hand, which I see that he does, he could potentially mill over a Kethis and maybe even win on turn 1 here.
Saw a Psy Master Thopterus and a Mox Amber hitting the graveyard.
What he could also choose to do here, it looks like, I think he has another Mox Opal in hand. He can actually sacrifice that Mox Opal, mill himself again, and then play a Mox Opal from hand, cast Unearth on Psy Master Thopterus, and potentially put up a reasonable clock here in a very short period of time.
So there goes the Opal, another activation of the Grinding Station. We see Hope of Girapur and I believe Wishclaw Talisman going to the graveyard.
He can also play the Mox Opal, untap Grinding Station, float a black mana, sacrifice the Mox Opal, look for one more shot at a Kethis as an option as well.
Well, here's the backup Opal. There's an untap on the Grinding Station.
If he's able to hit a Kethis, there's a good chance he actually just wins on turn 1 here. And that is an impressive showing from a relatively unknown combo deck here with this Kethis combo deck from Collins Mullen.
Yeah, definitely some powerful stuff happening here. And he's giving it a think. It is troubling. You don't want to give up your Mox if you don't have the combo, but you do want to enable it before the Eidolon of the Great Revel could show up.
Exactly. Eidolon of the Great Revel is the card that you're really afraid of here. And now Collins might not even cast this Unearth here because honestly, Unearth on just a Psy Master Thopterus against Burn is not really going to get the job done. You know, in a lot of matchups, I do think that 1-2 punch in the early turns is good enough, but here it's just not a fast enough clock, especially because he's already burned so many resources.
So here's an attack back on Betarioni's side. You saw Mullen float the mana, didn't have anything to do with it. Goblin Guide will reveal Hope of Girapur on the top of Mullen's deck. Mullen to 16 off the attack. Land number 2 for Betarioni, and there is Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Yeah, there is the GGs. Collins doesn't have a ton of ways in his main deck to deal with it. He does have one in hand in Teferi Time Raveler to bounce it, but that would require him to have a lot of resources at his disposal to continue to go off. Doesn't have any lands.
Yeah, you need a lot of mana to work with, or the ability to use Teferi to bounce it twice, which is kind of unrealistic.
Right.
Upkeep, Mullen knows the top card of the deck, so he's going to Grinding Station away that Hope of Girapur. 2 more cards going to the graveyard. There's that Jace, Unraveler of Mysteries, and a Glimmer Void. He'll draw for turn.
It's like another Unearth.
Sorry, Wielder of Mysteries is the Jace's name. There's too many Jaces now. We've been doing Jace for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they killed off Elspeth. There was only like 3 of them. You know? Jace, he's got like 9. Just, you know, put him in the bin. It's done.
So here's that Unearth, Mullen to 15 off of the Spire.
No.
Gets back Psy.
Don't think I will.
So the Psy is a blocker, but it is bad against both Eidolon of the Great Revel and only having 1 card in hand. Can't make too many Thopters.
Yeah, and every Thopter that Collins is able to produce off of the Psy is effectively 2 damage dealt to himself from the Eidolon of the Great Revel. That was a purely defensive Unearth because he drew a backup Unearth. But here, even if he blocks, you know, I expect a Searing Blaze or something to finish it off. Mostly I just expect Betarioni to close up the game next turn while still having an Eidolon of the Great Revel on the battlefield. This is just an exceptional draw from the burn deck here.
Now you see land number 3 and Monastery Swiftspear joining the party for Betarioni, an attack with all 3 creatures. He's at 15 off of his Eidolon trigger. The game's not really about that, though. Mullen's going to look at what he wants to block. Goblin Guide drew him another copy of Spire of Industry, so he'll have a second land. What he can do with it, not abundantly clear. As you mentioned, this game is very close to being over.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically forced to block here just to prevent some damage. I think Colin's going to... I mean, it doesn't really matter if he blocks Eidolon or Goblin Guide. He's still going to take 2. I think he's just figuring out whether or not he wants to block Monastery Swiftspear in case Betarioni has, like, double Lightning Bolt.
Right, so here's Boros Charm before damage. That'll knock Betarioni to 13.
Well, Betarioni here is actually choosing to give the Goblin Guide double strike, I believe. And that's going to knock out the Psy. Colin's going to take 4 down to 9. But if I'm not mistaken, Betarioni just has a pair of lands in hand. So if Collins can maybe scrape something together here, but it's going to be really hard just because of that Eidolon of the Great Revel.
It was an interesting choice on that Boros Charm. You saw some hesitation on Mullen's side, and some of it was whether to block or not. He might be concerned about a Searing Blaze there. Doesn't have much going now that the Psy is dead. But yeah, Betarioni will probably need to draw something. He has 5 power just on the table, though. So here is Seachrome Coast. It'll be land number 2 for Mullen. Both players know about the Spire of Industry in hand, but the Seachrome Coast is pain-free colored mana.
All right, I have one way that Colin's going to win this game. It involves Betarioni not drawing a spell for turn. Never mind. I was going to say if Collins just decides to take the damage here, if Betarioni has 2 lands in hand, draws land for turn, attacks, puts Collins down to 4. Collins can untap, take 1 off Spire of Industry, play Teferi, bounce Eidolon, go to 1, draw Mox Opal, play Mox Opal, mill some, float black, unearth Cathis combo. That was it.
Well, in the actual game, we saw Mullen take 3 to cast an Unearth. We see an attack. There's a Searing Blaze. This one's going Betarioni's way. In a much less convoluted fashion.
Yeah. My way was better.
That's true.
I'm just kidding.
That was exciting. In theory. I wasn't really listening. I believe what you said worked, though.
Sure. It involved Betarioni having stone nothing, which is a hard ask considering Burn always has it.
Yes. Even some of their lands are just cards now with Sunbaked Canyon being printed.
Yeah, don't even get me started with those fake lands.
Players going to sideboard. On Betarioni's side, we have 4 Core Firewalker, 3 Harsh Mentor. Interesting in this matchup. 2 Path to Exile, 2 Skullcrack, 2 Smash to Smithereens, a Deflecting Palm, and a Wear Tear.
Yeah, so in this matchup, Betarioni is going to want to have a little bit of interaction. You know, cards like Wear Tear, Smash to Smithereens, they may look appealing, but they don't actually do anything against this Cathis combo deck. I don't know how familiar Betarioni is in this matchup. You know, he can bring those in just to kill Grinding Station, but for the most part, the deck doesn't need Grinding Station to go off. It's just there to be this enabler that also acts as a kill condition. So I do expect him to bring in Harsh Mentor because it does act kind of like another iteration of Eidolon of the Great Revel, but in a different way and punishing a different mechanic. But he might actually want to bring in Path to Exile because it not only deals with the Sidemaster Thopterus, but it can also deal with the Kethis before it really gets going.
For Collins, Mullen needs some help. He has 4 Oko Thief of Crowns, 3 Collective Brutality, 3 Fatal Push, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Engineered Explosives, and another copy of Teferi Time Raveler.
So I feel like Collins is going to want to be a lot more interactive after Sideboard, wants to be able to kill those early creatures and the Eidolon specifically. Collective Brutality is obviously a slam dunk for this matchup. It's why it's in the Sideboard. That's 100% coming in. Fatal Push, I think all 3 come in. But as far as Engineering Explosives, Assassin Trophy, and the other Teferi Time Raveler, this isn't really the matchup where you want them. Now, with that said, my familiarity with Kethis combo is relatively low because of how new of a deck it is, and Collins could have an entire sideboard plan that allows him to kind of transition to more of a Sultai interactive mid-range deck that just has a combo kill finish. And if he does, you know, the Assassin Trophy and Engineered Explosives play right into that potential game plan.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. This weekend we are, of course, playing Modern, and next weekend you got a chance to play Modern. We're having our regional championships, number of locations across the U.S. here for Season 2. October 19th, that's next Saturday. You can pick up your copy of the 3 Fates exclusive playmat for the regional championships.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, this is real nice.
That's the first time I've seen this playmat. That's awesome.
Really good artwork on that. We also have a token that matches some of that. You see the middle fate there. You can also pick up a copy of Colin Roundtree's invitational winning servo token.
Love it. Colin Roundtree, the most recent invitational champion. That servo token getting a lot of work out in Modern recently thanks to Saheeli Sublime Artificer seeing a lot of play in these Urza decks.
We'll be seeing Roundtree coming up in the Players' Championship at the end of the year. Be one of the first 100 players to pre-register for regionals. Get your hands on one of those tokens.
So I got something to tell you real quick about the Players' Championship.
Yeah.
So I'm going to win the Season 2 Invitational, and I'm going to be at the Players' Championship because I'm not doing commentary on either tournament.
What if I told you that I was planning on winning the Season 2 Invitational?
You know what? We'll play in the finals. And then the best man will win.
I believe that the finals is Modern, and you and I have documented playing against each other in Modern twice recently, and I believe that I am 2-0 in those bouts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you play real decks in Modern, or do you play fun decks in Modern? Because you play real decks.
I play a real fun deck.
And I play fun decks, so...
You saw the prize payout there. These are the various locations you can go to across the states, go play in your local regional championships, and perhaps qualify for the Invitational yourself. Maybe you can defeat Todd and I out there.
Yeah, you do well at regionals, you come in, you win the Invitational, you make it to the Players' Championship, bang, bang, boom.
Go beat up on Colin Roundtree, too.
And then I think maybe winning one of these tournaments at some point also qualifies you for the Players' Tour, but I don't even,
There's no way of knowing. But you can find out all you want to know at go.starcitygames.com/regionals. Turns out there is a way to know. That's not going to be a PTQ, but Opens are this season.
Ooh. You win an Open this season, you get an invitation to the Players' Tour. Both finalists of individual Opens. That's cool. I'm being told now that I am wrong on most things.
Yeah, you know, if you take enough shots, you'll be right some of the time.
Right, and then I only refer to the times I was right.
Yeah. What I lack in accuracy, I make up for in volume. That's a riff on an old sales adage from people who are bad at sales.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to be bad at sales.
Well, what I mean is sometimes a store owner, the adage is what we lack in profit, we make up for in volume.
Gotcha.
Like when you sell something for not enough, selling at a loss.
Yeah, so the margin.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're selling at a negative $1 margin. Yeah, but I sold a lot of them.
That's something people come in to the store sometimes and try to price match. But like for something that's sold out at some discount retailer, it's like, obviously I'm not going to price match it. That's $5 under cost. Of course they're sold out. I don't believe that you ever even had the product. You were trying to make me go out of business. Please leave.
Oh, you seem really heated about this.
I got some thoughts. I got some thoughts.
All right, game 2 here between Collins Mullen and Jeremy Betarioni. Collins here taking a look at a 7 that looks like it has a lot of artifacts. A couple of legendary ones, a Mox Amber I see hanging out there. Now, the Monkey's Paw, this new card from
Witchclaw Talisman.
Yeah, Witchclaw Talisman. It's a Monkey's Paw. Look, just like Ginger Brute. Come on. It's not Ginger Brute.
Yeah, we know what's that. That's Gingerbread Man.
It's Gingerbread Man. Go, run as fast as you can. Here it comes.
Can't catch me unless, of course, you have haste, because that's what the text box indicates.
Gotcha. Wait, it can only be blocked by creatures with haste?
Yes. It's got to go fast.
Got to go fast. Goblin Guide coming in here for Betarioni. Always want one of those creatures in the early turns if you're the burn strat, especially against these combo-style decks. You know, you want that added pressure over time. You know, one Goblin Guide can equate to roughly 6 to 8 damage sometimes in a single game.
In particular, when you're not revealing lands, it's a really nice threat. You saw the Jace Wielder of Mysteries was revealed, and I just spotted that Mullen does have one of those sideboard Okos in hand. Here we see Mistress Bauble enabling the Spire to cast a Fatal Push. Life total is 17 all now. And here is a Mox Amber. No legends to pair with it just yet. Something to keep in mind with Mox Amber as well is it only taps for colored mana. So the deck plays Hope of Girapur, but even if one was here, it doesn't turn the Mox on.
Right. Yeah, the fact that it only works with colored legends is, I don't know if it's necessarily an oversight. I would have liked to have had Mox Amber just read if you can control legend taps for any color, you know, something like that. Or legendary creature or planeswalker taps for any color. Because not working with stuff like Hope of Girapur, well, the fact that Hope of Girapur is a legend is it's a whole other story, but you know.
We see another fetch, Betarioni to 16. He'll cast that sideboard Harsh Mentor. Mullen going to be responding with Mistress Bauble here. The Harsh Mentor is a card pretty recently in Standard rotated out, but didn't see a lot of play there. But it's a little bit more impactful in Modern. When an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land, and it isn't a mana ability, they take 2. So Mistress Bauble, that's an activated ability, doesn't make mana. So Mullen wants to respond here. Takes a look at the top card of Betarioni's deck.
Yeah, it doesn't affect Planeswalkers, which I'm not the hugest fan of design-wise. But it used to hit Planeswalkers, which was kind of cool. But with the rules change, it only deals damage to players, so, you know. A lot of cards in that era changed functionality. Most notably, Chandra Torch of Defiance went from an all-star to just kind of dealing some damage to the opponent.
Let's see what Mullen can do here. Chromatic Star would be the cast before Darkclick Shores is the land for turn.
Yeah, was a little light on lands. Seems to have found the Darkclick Shores. Now the question is, can he find a third land, get an Oko onto the battlefield maybe, and turn on that Mox Amber? And this might be that alternate mid-rangey plane I was talking about. You know, Oko's this like self-sustaining planeswalker that generates a lot of food tokens and can gain you a lot of life against burn. And with 2 copies of Fatal Push already drawn from Collins, he's really playing this fair game pretty well.
Yeah, the Star made black mana. That was a mana ability, so no damage off the Mentor. Fatal Push takes that down. Now Betarioni wants another threat. Mullen has plenty of life to play with from here. Fiery Islet will be the land for Betarioni. Does have another threat, Monastery Swift Spear cast.
Yeah, but Mullen here is still at 18 life. This is going to be a fairly uphill battle for Betarioni, but luckily he has drawn a lot of creatures here, and these represent a bit more damage over time than just those lava spikes and such that the burn deck is made of.
And Betarioni goes to 15 off the islet to cast 3 creatures, 2 Swift Spears and a Goblin Guide. Goblin Guide reveals Grinding Station on the attack. 4 points come across, Mullen to 14. We'll see how much he can do, see how close he is to having a combo now with that Grinding Station coming off the top.
Doesn't seem to have too much mana at his disposal, just the 2 lands on the battlefield. You know he didn't draw a land for turn because of the Grinding Station. So I think he's in a bit of trouble here now. Seemed like he was going to potentially buy himself some time with those Fatal Pushes, but Betarioni drew 5 creatures that he played across the first 3 turns. Not a lot that Collins can really do about that.
Yeah, Grinding Station go. That's all he can muster. Go back to Betarioni. Draws for turn. Looks like a Path to Exile has been hanging out in the hand. That one's not great here, but it'll insulate him against some potential forms of combo, Psy Master Thopterist, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I did just see a Boros Charm picked up as well, but he only has that one white source of mana, so he can't actually path and Boros Charm this turn. Boros Charm's not lethal here either, so.
Thinking about starting the turn, just sacrificing the Islet, and that's where he will go. I believe Smash to Smithereens picked up. He only had one source of white mana, so he couldn't cast the Boros Charm and leave up the path to exile. Lands on leaving up the path. He's going to attack now for 4. Unearth revealed off of the Goblin Guide. And Mullen down to 10.
Yeah, but 10's still a reasonably high life total against the burn deck. The problem is he can't really do much about these creatures coming across. He also doesn't really want to draw the Unearth, so he's contemplating milling himself. He's going to do it by sacking the Mox Amber.
So get rid of that Unearth, get rid of another Mox, and Shizo, Death's Storehouse.
Yeah. I mean, I have played a lot of Kamigawa block constructed, so I know what that does. But for those of you at home, you might need to look that one up. Shizo, Death's Storehouse. Legendary land. Taps for black. Black tap. What does it do?
Creature fear.
There it is. Fear. Not
fear.
Not intimidate.
No.
Fear.
Fear.
Yeah. It's a nice one. Kamigawa had a cycle of lands that were legendary, and a lot of those are actually shown up here in Collins Mullen's list. You can take a look at those on our Cardboard Live extension. They work really well with Ketha's ability. Not only can you hit a land drop if you're missing land drops with it, but you can also just exile them from the graveyard to turn on Ketha's ability.
So here is an Oko for Mullen after playing another Darkslick Shores.
Oh, no.
Goes to 9 for
go.
it. I want to memorize some of the arena emotes. I believe when you make a food, Oko says, "Surely you're famished."
No way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't played too much Arena since this new set was got on there. I've been having too much fun playing Modern, to be honest.
One bite and all your wildest dreams will come true. I'm pretty sure that's another one.
Doesn't sound so much like he's a thief. Sounds like he's
He's just a jerk.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's a mean dude.
He's just feeding you.
He's a bad guy.
You hungry?
He's a villain. Making a food token.
All right. Well, can choose to mill self or not. Now, Betarioni has a Boros Charm in hand. Drew Lava Spike for turn. All he's got to do is cast either of these cards. I believe Collins Mullins is dead.
Yeah. Lava Spike, Mullen to 6. That looks like 6 power. Betarioni, quick 2-0 win over Collins Mullen on Ketha's combo.
Remember when I said nightmare matchup?
Didn't look good.
Did not look great. Now, I will say this. Collins in game 1 actually had a decent amount of looks to potentially combo out on